What is going on? Back at you again, and let's get right into it. And you'll notice I'm not on video. It's because we're relocating, renovating, and we'll be up and going in a week or so. So stay tuned for that. And we'll get right through our picks. So first we got the Jets versus Cleveland. I'm gonna go Cleveland. No surprise there. Then on Saturday, we got Detroit versus Dallas. I think I'm going to go Dallas, and then they'll have Detroit beat them in the playoffs. I think that's what's going to happen. Because the NFL likes to play with your mind and your emotions. So, if, say, for instance, if Dallas wins and these two teams play in the playoffs, most people are going to be like, oh, Dallas is better, I'm picking them. And then they'll flip the script on you. So that's why I say that. It's not because I think Detroit's better or worse, or Dallas is better or worse. It's just because that's the way they do things. And we have evidence of history to show us. Yeah, I'm kind of leaning to Dallas to win this game. So, yeah, we're going to go with Dallas, I think. I might come back to that, but Dallas for now. All right, next we got New England versus Buffalo. I picked, let me see, who did I pick? New England, Buffalo. I picked Buffalo. That shouldn't be a surprise, though. Buffalo, they played bad last week against a bad team, but they still won. Who knows? They might play bad against New England again, but they should win this game. So, and I think Buffalo, they're one of those teams. If you look down the list of all these teams, they can beat all these teams. I'm looking down this list. They can beat any one of these teams if they haven't already. They can beat Baltimore, yep, and Philly. They've beaten both, whether it was this year or last year. They can beat Seattle. They can beat Kansas City, right? Well, actually, they haven't done that yet. Maybe that's the one team. But right now, Kansas City is not looking good. So this would be the time I would pick Josh to beat them when they're vulnerable. This would be the year. I don't think they're going to let Mahomes win back-to-back Super Bowls yet. I think he'll do it sometime soon. Eventually, maybe in like 4 or 5 years, they'll make like a super team for him. But his time, he should have already had a back-to-back already. But I think he's going to get one every other year. I think they'll win one, and then they'll have a down year. They'll win one, have a down year, win one, maybe 2 years off, win another one. And then we'll see. I think that's how that goes. That's how Tom Brady had to do it, basically. You have to go like 2 years off sometimes, 3 years, and then get one. So, yeah, but if you look down this list too, they can beat anybody on this. Even San Fran, I think Buffalo can beat San Francisco. They can beat Miami. We've seen them do that. So really, I know I said earlier in the year Buffalo might miss the playoffs, but if they end up making the playoffs, they really can be a sneaky Super Bowl pick. Because don't forget, guys, they're not gonna let the Super Bowl team be a team that everyone thinks, because they don't want people winning money like that. If they realize everyone knows it's a certain team that they wanted, they'll just switch it up. It's not that hard. They want more money, and that's all they want. That's it, and that's all they're getting. So yeah. Buffalo. So yeah, Buffalo, if they make it, they're probably going to be my sneaky Super Bowl pick. I don't think it's going to be the Ravens. I think it's too easy to pick the Ravens. Oh, I'm going to pick the number one record. Oh yeah. Did it work out like that last year? If so, the Eagles would have won. So, or the Niners. So it's not always based on record. It very rarely does the number one record team win the Super Bowl. Like, it's very rare. It happens. Yeah, it happens, but it's very rare. It doesn't happen that often. So I'm looking at a team that's catching flames and looking good towards the end of the year. Those are the teams that pose the most threat. It's not always the highest record because you can start off hot and then have a rough patch, but still have a really good record going in. But that doesn't mean that you're playoff ready and you're ready to be Super Bowl bound. And there's a lot to it. Teams that look Super Bowl bound, Buffalo, they finally got a run game. Their defense is tightened up. They got a pass rush now. Their receivers are looking better. Their tight end, Kincaid, is looking good. Like, I'm telling you, they're looking Super Bowl ready, I think. Right now I trust them more than Philadelphia. And I kind of trust them more than San Francisco. If Buffalo were to play San Fran in the Super Bowl, I'd pick Buffalo. I really would. And they still have that stadium that they need being built, guys. So that money is still owed. That they need. So I think that it's a sneaky play for Buffalo to win the Super Bowl. But I'm sorry I went off on a tangent. I do that sometimes. But that's why y'all watch me. But anyway, Atlanta, Chicago. I wouldn't bet on this game. I'd stay far away from a game like this because it's two games, two teams that are evenly matched. It can go either way. I just wouldn't do it, man. You're going to be disappointed because you have a 50-50 chance, and they go back and forth. They sway based on where the money is. So if you're going to bet on a game, you want to bet on something that's more of a sure thing. Not that there's a sure thing, but something like New England, Buffalo, that's a fair bet. But then again, you got to check the line. If it's too ridiculous, maybe you pick New England to cover. It just depends on what the line is. Like, say it says Buffalo. I'm just going to make something up. Let's say Buffalo are like 16-point favorites. Maybe you pick New England to cover that. That could be a good bet right there. Buffalo wins the game, but New England covers the spread and you win money. Something like that makes sense. But if you're asking me to pick a winner-loser, I don't know. I guess, I'll flip a coin. I don't even have a coin on me. They're all in my car. So I guess I almost want to pick Chicago to be a spoiler because I don't think they're going to have Atlanta go to the playoffs. Yeah, we're going to pick Chicago to be a spoiler. I have Atlanta written as a W on my paper, but I'm picking Chicago as a spoiler. All right, next we got Vegas versus Indy. This is going to be another good game. These two teams, I think, have the same record. I think they're both 8-7, if I'm not mistaken. I could be. But anyway, actually I can check. I got it up right here. Let's see. Indy. Yeah, 8-7, 7-8. So they're one game apart. Huh. But we know the Chiefs are probably going to win that division. I'm going to pick the Colts to win. Because the Colts are just well run. You guys know how I feel about them. Well, the coach anyway. The way they run their offense and everything. All right, Rams versus the Giants. I'm going to go with the Rams here. Obvious reasons. Arizona, Philly. And same thing here, obvious reasons. Bird on bird action. I'm going to choose the bigger bird and the more vicious bird. An eagle. That bird's going to tear that little red bird up, that little cardinal. It's a cardinal sin, boy. So, yeah, we're going to pick Philadelphia to tear up them little birds over there. Now we got the Saints versus the tuberculosis Buccaneers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the TB Buccaneers, the tuberculosis Buccaneers. I think I'm going to pick Tampa here. But then again, I don't know. Every time I pick Derek Carr, he burns me. When I pick against him, they win. So it's just one of those stupid freaking games. And now, whenever I pick against Tampa, they win, and when I pick them when they're getting on a hot streak, they end up losing. So I think I'm gonna pick New Orleans because I just realized what I keep doing. So I need to reverse the cycle here. But then again, who knows? Yeah, I'm gonna pick New Orleans to win this because Tampa. How many have they won? I feel like they're on a really good win streak. Let's see. I think they caught flames. Yeah, they won 4 in a row, guys. Like a month ago, we were talking about Baker Mayfield being out. They were 4-7. Now they're 8-7. So Saints, they lost one, and the Saints, they were at that time. The Saints were like what 7-4. So like now the Saints are looking like shit. So I think I'm gonna pick the Saints to win, and then it's gonna make the division 8-8 again. Because the Falcons are gonna lose, the Buccaneers are gonna lose, and the Saints are gonna win. Then they'll all be 8-8 on week 18. That's the way they want it, the NFL. They want it to come down to the last week, so everyone stays watching, eyes glued to the TV. So now every game is basically a playoff game for this division. That's how they want it, guys. So yeah, that answers our question. We're final answer: Saints win. I gotta change it on my paper because that would make more sense for TV for the Saints to win, so that the division's 8-8 for week 18. So it's more of a cinema, you know. All right, San Fran versus Washington. I'm picking San Fran for obvious reasons to be safe, and they took a bad loss, so they're probably gonna play better. Then we got Carolina versus Jacksonville. I'm gonna go with Jacksonville, but not feeling great about it because I don't like Jacksonville. I don't think they're a good team. I think they're on a 4-game losing streak as well. Let's double check. Let's see. Yeah, 4-game as well. So they should be 12-3 right now, but they're 8-7, just like every other average team because they're an average team. If they were a good team, they'd be winning those games. So they're clearly not in the plans. You can't go into the playoffs not hot. They're not hot right now. I'm looking at streaks right now. Give me a second. Let's see. Raiders are on a 2-game. Bills are on a 3-game. So that's why I'm picking the Bills so far as my number one team in the East. Or the East. The AFC. The Ravens are a 5-game win streak, but I think they're going to take a L soon before the playoffs to come back down to earth. They're not going to go into the playoffs through the Super Bowl with a 10-game win streak. I just can't see it. Like they're not that great. Like they're a good team. They're not great. Like if they were going to win the Super Bowl, if Mark Andrews, their star tight end, basically their Kelsey were there, I'd pick them. But with him being out, I don't know, man. They're just not stacked everywhere. The Bills are stacked if you step back. And that's why the NFL doesn't want the Bills as a front runner. They don't want them to be, 12-4. They're just overpowering everybody. They don't want that. They want them to come out of nowhere. They want it to be sneaky. It's better for business, you know, if you can't guess that the Bills were going to be the ones all along. But if the Bills are the ones to win it or at least make it, you heard it here first. And guys, we break a lot of stories here. We find out a lot on this channel. So that's that. So yeah, we're going to go Jacksonville. But don't be surprised if Carolina smacks them. Next, we got Miami versus Baltimore. They could either have Miami beat them to make Baltimore look weaker, to have Baltimore win in the playoffs, or they'll have Baltimore just run right through them and everyone else to just lose in the Super Bowl because you thought they were that powerful. So be careful with these games and the way they do these things. We've seen this before. We really have. I don't think it's going to be the Niners, and I don't even think it's going to be the Ravens that win the Super Bowl. As much as everyone thinks it's those two teams, it's easy to pick the two best records, but it very rarely works out that way. Because there are other teams that are doing well and that are hot. You know, the Browns also, they're a 3-game win streak. Dolphins 2 game. Who else? Rams 2 games. That's another team that's hot. The Rams could, bro. I could see Rams versus Bills in the Super Bowl. Like I could see that. What else? Seahawks. I can't see the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. I can't. I don't see the Eagles in the Super Bowl this year, guys. I don't. I don't even see the Lions in there. As well as they've been playing, I don't see the Lions. I don't see the Buccaneers, even though they're on a 4 game. I just don't. I'm trying to think of teams that no one would think of, and I think I just said it. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the Rams versus the Bills, guys. Those are 2 hot teams. If those 2 teams make it, don't be surprised, guys. And that's a Super Bowl that we would not mind watching. Because you would have Cooper Kupp and that Nakua guy, right? And they have a running back. Now all of a sudden, they got a running game, right? Stafford. So, and then you still got Aaron Donald on the defense. So they still got star power. And then on the Bills, you got Josh Allen. They now have the Cook guy at running back. I think they said he's had 100-yard games in the last 7 games or something like that. Something crazy like that. They got their 2 receivers, their tight end, and their defense intact. So they're getting hot at the right time, the Bills are. I would not be surprised, guys, if it were the Bills versus Rams in the Super Bowl. Or Bills versus Niners even. But that seems like a weird game, Bills versus Niners. We haven't seen that game this year at all, so that could be something cool to watch. I would pick the Bills. It would be fun to watch, but I'd pick the Bills. And I'd be rooting for Josh Allen, man. And that's that. Fuck Brock Purdy, man. Dude comes off the scenes and gets to have this great team, and now everyone thinks he's an MVP. No. No. They didn't even give Trey Lance a real shot. Trey Lance could have been doing this too. They just didn't want to give him a shot. What can I say, man? Because think about it. He already missed 3 years, so he only had maybe 1 or 2 years left on his rookie deal. Whereas Purdy, he still has another 4 years. Well, if you don't count the rest of this year. He still has another 3 if you count this year. If you don't count this year. Say this year's done, he still has 3 more rookie year deal contract. So whereas if they had Trey Lance, if the year's up, you have 1 more year with him. Not even, I don't think. That would be a no trade year, so he could just opt out. So it makes sense when it's all about business. You understand why they do things. So back to this, Miami, Baltimore. I think I'm gonna go. I kind of want to go Miami here. I don't think it's going to be either one of these teams in the Super Bowl. It's going to be a distraction. Everyone's going to be like, "Oh, this could be the AFC Championship match." It could be, but I think it's going to be the Bills versus someone, and I don't even think it's going to be the Chiefs. It could be the Bills versus Baltimore, or the Bills versus Miami. It's probably going to be the AFC Championship. I could see that right now. And then the Bills would probably beat one of them. Because I don't think they're going to let Josh Allen beat Patrick Mahomes. They'll let Mahomes lose to someone else, if anything. Mahomes will probably lose to the Ravens, right? So I could see the Chiefs losing to the Ravens and Lamar. That would be respectable. So if he loses to the Ravens, and then the Bills play the Dolphins, and then the Bills beat the Dolphins, then you see the Ravens versus the Bills. I could see the Bills beating the Ravens, with everyone choosing the Ravens to win, and then the Bills advance. I could see that. I really could. And you heard it here first. I just played that out in my head. Alright. So yeah, we're going to pick Miami here. Because I think they're going to try to make it more interesting and have both teams be tied at the end of the year. And they both need to win to secure that spot. But if Miami wins and Baltimore wins, Miami gets the number 1 seed. So we'll see how that plays out. I picked Miami, though. Well, actually, you know what? No, I pick Baltimore because of how physical. No, it's too easy. It's too easy to pick Baltimore. Guys, it's really hard to pick these games because they're rigged and scripted. If it was real football, I'd pick Baltimore based on physicality. But rigged and scripted football, you got Tyreek Hill. You're going to be outside though. It's going to be cold. I'm just gonna pick Baltimore. Fuck it, I don't care. I'll pick Baltimore, even though I know it's an easy choice. It's too easy to pick them, but it's not gonna be all underdogs. Some favorites are gonna win, and I don't even think Baltimore's favorite. I'd have to go double check that. I'm not even sure about that. All right, we got a few more. Tennessee versus Houston. I'm gonna give it to Houston because Tennessee won the last game they played. I think. I actually gotta double check that, but I'm pretty sure Tennessee won. I could be wrong, but I'm gonna pick Houston. Let me just double check their record, because I think if Houston wins, say that Houston wins, right? The Jags lose and the Colts win, then it'll be 2-9-7 guys, and then 1-8-8 team. Huh. Maybe that whole division will lose. The Colts will end up losing to... Who are they playing? Yeah, because what could end up happening is the Colts could lose to Vegas, right? Jags could end up losing to Carolina. And Houston could end up losing to Tennessee. And then they'll all be 8-8 heading into week 18, and then basically that becomes the playoffs for that division. So that might actually change my picks, because that could change everything, especially if they're playing each other in a divisional game. Wow. Yeah, I think I'm gonna pick Tennessee here just to make it more interesting for that division. So I'm going to pick Tennessee to win only for that division's purposes, for the wins being closer. That's the only reason. Not because I think Tennessee's better, even though that's a debate for another day. I think Tennessee waited way too long to put the rookie in there. They should have just started him from the beginning, and they would be a playoff team or in contention. But that's a whole nother conversation. But I think Tennessee wins because the NFL wants to make the AFC South all 8-8 teams heading into the last week to make it more interesting for betting purposes, of course. All right, next we got Pittsburgh versus Seattle. Both teams are vying for playoff spots. The Steelers, they really desperately need to win. So that's probably why I'm going to pick them. 9-7 if they win. They can get in at 10-7 possibly with some help. Seattle, I don't think Seattle's going to get in. And even if Seattle gets in, let's face it, they're not really posing a threat to anyone. Like, they're not good enough to win a Super Bowl. If they had a good quarterback that you can rely upon and hang your hat on, no one's trusting Geno Smith. Like, come on, guys. It was a nice story, not a nice player. That's what all that was. If you put, I don't know, Aaron Rodgers, just anybody, like any of these great quarterbacks in that position, I guarantee you it turns out great and different. So with that, I'm going to pick Pittsburgh. I'm going to go right through this because I got a phone call I got to take. So next we got Denver versus Los Angeles. This is a flip 'em, coin up. I'd stay away. I'd pick Los Angeles. Next, we got Cincy versus KC. I pick Kansas City. And then last, we got Minnesota versus Green Bay. I pick Minnesota. And that's how I end that, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.